7, 8, 9, 10. 7 weeks ago, I couldn't do 8 of these. Today, I did 10, and I still don't feel as strong as I would like. Nobody tells you that getting stronger doesn't always feel like getting stronger. Sometimes there's weeks when you're standing perfectly still, no visible results, and you're the only one who can't tell the difference. Now in week 7 of this 90-day military calisthenic fitness reset, which is part of this rebuilding journey, and honestly, incline and negative push-ups are still the hardest part of this routine. Every round, my body and my arms already knows the movement, but my mind is still trying to catch up. And honestly, my mind still whispers, like it did in week 1, that I can't do it. But every round, every day, I do it anyway. And it still doesn't feel easy. Not once did it ever felt easy. So here's the part that nobody talks about, the after. The layoff wasn't the hardest part of any of this. It was everything that came afterwards. The part where you're technically further along in your journey, but still feels like it did in week 1. Rebuilding doesn't get gentler just because you've been at it longer. Sometimes the days that are harder gets a little bit more quieter. Some days it gets quieter about how hard it really is. So here's what I've been sitting with all this week. If it doesn't get easier, then how do you know it's working? So here's what I've come to believe, and it's one of the reasons that I continue to show up even when the motivation is low, even when my body sometimes doesn't feel good. Progress isn't a feeling. It's a starting point, a number that you can point to when the feeling won't show up. Because you don't have to be different to feel different. You just have to keep the receipts, even on the days you don't believe them. As I said in my bio, think of me as the case study so you don't have to be. And if you've been following along in this journey, then you would have seen that on week 3, which is the first week we did the military calisthenic exercises, when it comes to negative or incline push-ups, I could barely do or complete 8 reps of it. And on that week, I sat on this mat thinking to myself, I can't do this. This is not working. But you know what? I kept the log anyway. I continue to track my progress down. 7 weeks later, when I compare the numbers from week 3 to what I'm able to do now, I had to sit with it for a minute because I realize now I can actually do more repetition longer than I expected to. So let me show you the week, not because the numbers are impressive, but because they're honest. So for day 1, starting with the upper body, we did 4 rounds of incline, negative, push-ups, tricep dips, 10 reps of each of those 3 exercises. We also did the Superman pulls as well as the reverse snow angels, 15 reps for each exercise, then finishing it with a plank. That's 45-second plank. This is the one that humbles me every time. Incline dips are still the fight of the week. That's incline and negative push-ups every week. But 7 weeks ago, as I said, that was just 8 reps. I could barely complete the 8 reps. And now I'm able to complete 10 in multiple rounds. Now for the lower body workout, we did 4 rounds of squats, and that's 15 reps, 4 rounds of reverse lunges, 15 reps, high crunches, 15 reps, glute bridges, 15 reps, and finishing it off with a wall sit, 45 seconds, 4 rounds of that. On day 3, as usual, we need to do just a full body reset, so that just entails an outdoor walking with my pup, and that's 45 minutes minimum, which I typically complete 3 miles. Day 4 is the full body workout, and that consists of 4 rounds of plank, shoulder tap, bicycle crunches, and leg raises. And this time I did 20 reps on each of the exercise. Additionally, we did the glute bridge march, as well as squats, 15 reps for each of those exercises. And honestly, this one is deceptive. It looks gentle on paper, but 20 rounds of leg raises into 20 rounds of glute bridge march will humble you real quick. And it did every round. And then lastly, we finished off the week with a 30-minute walk that looked more like a retail therapy than I've done in the past. And you know, it still counts because that's still movement. Apart from that, I also did a house cleaning. That's still movement. I'm still doing something, so that still counts for the week. And yes, I'm still counting that because recovery isn't only about stretching and stillness. Sometimes it's letting yourself wander for an hour with no agenda and still calling that movement, because it is. Because rest is allowed to look like that. So now in week 7, 10 reps instead of 8, a wall sit that I didn't dread, walking outdoor that cleared my head. On paper, that's still a fitness update. But I don't think that's actually what week 7 is all about. It's so much more. When I got laid off after 26 years from corporate, nobody handed me a log to keep track of my progress. There was no rep count for "you're going to be okay." No wall sit that could tell me how far along I was in figuring out who I was without a job title attached to my name. I didn't know back then that I would need something as small and as unglamorous as doing an incline push-up to teach me how to trust myself again. But that's what this 90-day fitness reset has actually been. It was never really about my arms or my legs or my abs or even the perimenopause symptoms that I am experiencing in this season of life. It was about proving to myself quietly, week after week, that I could commit to something and show up even when it didn't feel good, when my body was giving up, and even when the motivation was low. I know 10 reps instead of 8 is just data, but it's also proof that the version of me who almost quit in week 2 or week 3 isn't the same version of me who's sitting here in week 7. And that's the exact same proof that I needed to see after the layoff. Not a feeling, a pattern. Show up enough times and the evidence will build itself. And like what I said last week, nobody can lay this off. Only I can do that. And here's something that I haven't said out loud on this channel. This reset ends in a few weeks for this 90-day fitness series. I think the last episode of this series will be on August 16th. And for a while now, I've been sitting thinking of the next chapter of this rebuilding story. And that next series will be called The Unresume. And it's everything these 90 days have been preparing me. Not the squats, not the incline push-ups, not the tricep dips, but the habit underneath it. The habit of rebuilding out loud instead of in private. The financial and healthy habits that carried me through the layoff and the uncertainty. Choices I'd make differently if I can go back and whisper them to the younger version of myself. The creative paths that I've set down and put on hold for 26 years that I'm only now brave enough to pick back up. I'm not going to tell you everything today because honestly, I'm still building it, what that series is going to look like. Some days, one piece at a time, same as this reset, because this Unresume series is standing on the same ground that this whole rebuilding is standing on. And that is, you don't have to feel ready. You just have to continue to take that step forward and onward. So week 7 is done, completed, 10 reps instead of 8, multiple rounds, walk outdoor that cleared my head, wall sit that I no longer dread, and now a name for the new series of what's coming next. So if reverse lunges and squats is still kicking your legs under you too, let me know in the comments because most likely we're still on the same boat. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you're also in your rebuilding era or season, join me so we can do this together. And if you haven't seen last week's update, you can watch it right here.